4 words destroyed my marriage. Tell Laura I'm sorry. That's what Christopher whispered in his sleep at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in our bed in Charlotte. Not my name, Laura's. The woman from his office who I'd invited to dinner just last week. The woman whose children played with ours at company picnics. The woman who'd helped me plan his surprise 40th birthday party. I lay there in the darkness, those 4 words echoing in my skull, while my husband of 12 years rolled over and continued sleeping peacefully. Like he hadn't just revealed everything. Like he hadn't just confirmed what some primitive part of my brain had been trying to tell me for months. But I'm jumping ahead. To understand how those 4 words led to me sitting in this empty house, wedding ring sold, children confused, life in ruins, you need to know how it started. How I became the kind of woman who destroys her own family for afternoon meetings in hotel rooms and stolen kisses in supply closets. You need to know about Daniel. Daniel joined our accounting firm 2 years ago, Morrison & Associates, a mid-sized company in Charlotte's financial district. I'd been there 8 years, worked my way up to senior accountant. Stable job, good benefits, the kind of place where you could build a career while still making it home for dinner most nights. I was content. Christopher worked as an engineer at a firm 3 blocks away. We'd drop the kids, Emma, 10, and Josh, 7, at school, commute together, sometimes grab lunch if our schedules aligned. It was a good life, a solid life. The kind of life people envision when they talk about the American dream. Daniel arrived on a Monday in September, fresh from New York, brought in to head up our new acquisitions department. He walked into our morning meeting like he owned the building, all sharp suits and easy confidence. Heads turned, conversations stopped. Even married, settled, supposedly satisfied women like me took notice. "I'm looking forward to working with all of you," he said, his voice carrying just a hint of Brooklyn. "I know change can be unsettling, but I promise we're going to do great things together." His eyes swept the room and landed on me, held for a beat too long. I looked away first, heat creeping up my neck. "Who's that?" I whispered to my cubicle neighbor, Patricia. "Daniel Morrison. As in Morrison's nephew. Word is he's being groomed to take over when the old man retires." Nepotism. Of course, that explained the confidence. Still, when he approached my desk later that day, I found myself sitting up straighter. "You're Stephanie, right? I've been reviewing the client files. Your work on the Henderson account was impressive." "Thank you." Professional, polite, appropriate. "I might need to pick your brain about some of our larger accounts." "Would you have time this week to bring me up to speed?" "Of course. I can pull together the files." "How about over coffee? Tomorrow morning before the chaos starts? I find I think better with caffeine." I should have said no, should have suggested a conference room meeting instead, should have seen the danger in those dark eyes, and that easy smile. "Sure, there's a place around the corner that opens at 7. "It's a date." He winked, actually winked, and walked away. Not a date, I told myself, a business meeting. I'd mention it to Christopher that night, keep everything above board, except I didn't mention it. When he asked about my day over dinner, I talked about the Peterson audit and Emma's science project and everything except the new executive who made my pulse race. Coffee became a Tuesday tradition, just Daniel and me in a corner booth at City Brew, discussing spreadsheets and projections while something else simmered beneath the surface. He had a way of making work conversations feel intimate, leaning in when I talked, remembering details I'd mentioned in passing, laughing at my terrible accounting jokes. "You're different from the other executives," I said one morning, 6 weeks into our routine. "How so?" "You actually listen. Most of them just pretend to while thinking about their golf game." "Maybe I just have better reasons to pay attention." His fingers brushed mine as we both reached for the sugar. Neither of us pulled back immediately. That night, Christopher noticed my new perfume. "You smell nice. Special occasion?" "Just trying something different." The lie came so easily it scared me. The shift from professional to personal happened gradually. Coffee conversations drifted from quarterly reports to weekend plans. He learned about Emma's soccer games and Josh's obsession with dinosaurs. I learned he was divorced, no kids, relocated from New York to start fresh after his ex-wife got the Manhattan apartment in the settlement. Do you miss it? The city? I asked one morning in November. Sometimes. But there are advantages to Charlotte. He looked at me meaningfully. Better views. The mountains are beautiful, I said, deliberately misunderstanding. I wasn't talking about the mountains. I should have ended it there. Should have canceled future coffees, maintained professional distance, remembered the good man waiting for me at home. Instead, I heard myself say, Daniel. I know, I'm sorry that was inappropriate, but his smile suggested he wasn't sorry at all. The first time we crossed the line was at the company Christmas party. Christopher had to work late, something about a system failure at his firm. I'd gone alone, told myself I'd just make an appearance and leave early. Daniel found me by the bar, looking unfairly good in a charcoal suit. No Christopher? Work emergency. His loss, he raised his glass, to absent husbands. I'm not. Dance with me. Daniel, one dance. 'Tis the season and all that. One dance became 3, his hand on my lower back, my head fitting perfectly in the crook of his neck. We fit together like puzzle pieces, moving in sync to the jazz quartet's slow rendition of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. You know this is dangerous, I whispered. I know. His breath warm against my ear. Tell me to stop. I couldn't. Instead, I let him lead me onto the balcony overlooking the city lights. Let him brush a strand of hair from my face. Let him kiss me while snow began to fall, like something out of the romance novels I used to mock. The kiss lasted forever and an instant. When we broke apart, I was shaking. I have to go. Stephanie, I have to go. I drove home in a daze, sure Christopher would see the guilt written across my face. But he was already asleep, still in his work clothes. I stood in our bedroom doorway, watching him snore softly, and felt the first crack in the foundation of our marriage. I tried to stay away. Canceled 2 Tuesday coffees, claiming workload. Avoided Daniel in the halls. Focused on being a better wife, a more present mother. Made Christopher's favorite dinners. Initiated sex with a frequency that surprised him. What's gotten into you? He asked one night, breathless and happy. Just remembering how lucky I am. But memories of that kiss haunted me. The way Daniel tasted like whiskey and possibility. How alive I'd felt in those stolen moments. How young and desired and electric. Christopher, sweet Christopher, noticed nothing beyond my increased attention. He brought me flowers, planned date nights, told me I was beautiful, and I felt like a monster, accepting his love while thinking of another man. Daniel cornered me in the supply room 3 weeks after the party. You can't avoid me forever. I'm not avoiding you. Tuesday coffee, you've missed 3. I've been busy. Busy or scared? Both. The honesty surprised us both. He stepped closer. I can't stop thinking about you. Daniel, I'm married. I know. I have children. I know. This can't happen. But it is happening. Tell me you don't feel it too. I could have lied. Should have lied. Instead, I feel it. Then what do we do? Nothing. We do nothing. We're adults with responsibilities and obligations and... He kissed me again. There in the supply room, between boxes of printer paper and toner cartridges. This time, I kissed him back, ran my fingers through his hair, pressed against him like a woman starved. My place, he whispered. Friday. Christopher has that conference in Raleigh, doesn't he? He'd been paying attention, planning. And God help me. I nodded. Friday arrived like a sentencing date. I dropped the kids at school, kissed Christopher goodbye at the airport curb, and drove to work on autopilot. Every rational cell in my body screamed to turn around, go home, clean the house, be the faithful wife I'd promised to be. Instead, I left work at lunch claiming a migraine and drove to Daniel's apartment in South End. My hands shook as I knocked. This was it. The moment of no return. He answered in jeans and a t-shirt, looking younger, more vulnerable than his usual executive armor. You came. I shouldn't be here. But you are. He stepped aside to let me in. His apartment was exactly what I'd expected. Modern, minimalist, temporary feeling like he hadn't quite committed to Charlotte yet. We stood in his living room, awkward, suddenly without the structure of work around us. Can I get you something? Wine? Water? Daniel, Please don't. He crossed to me, took my hands. Don't talk yourself out of this. Not yet. The first time was frantic. 12 years of marital fidelity shattered in his bed while winter rain drummed against the windows. Afterward, I cried. Not pretty, delicate tears, but ugly, body-shaking sobs. Hey. He held me, stroked my hair. It's okay. It's not okay. Nothing about this is okay. I'm a terrible person. You're not terrible. You're human. Humans don't betray everyone they love for... I gestured helplessly at his naked body, our tangled sheets, the wine glasses on his nightstand. For what? Tell me what this is for you. I thought about it, really thought about it. What had driven me to his bed? It wasn't that Christopher was a bad husband. He wasn't inattentive or cruel or neglectful. Our sex life was fine. Not earth-shattering, but comfortable, familiar. For feeling 25 again, I said finally. For being wanted instead of expected. For the thrill of being chosen instead of defaulted to. Is that what you think? That Christopher defaults to you? We've been together since college. Sometimes I wonder if we're just together because we don't know how to be apart. Daniel propped himself on an elbow, studied me. And what about the kids? The kids? Emma with Christopher's eyes, Josh with his father's patient temperament. The kids I was betraying with every second I spent in this bed. I can't think about them right now. You have to eventually. I know, just not yet. We spent the afternoon alternating between sex and conversation. He told me about his divorce, how his ex-wife had cheated with his best friend. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Am I your revenge? I asked. No, you're my complication. He traced patterns on my bare shoulder. I came here to start over. Simple life, focus on work. Then you walked into that meeting. I didn't walk into anything. I was already there. Exactly. Already there. Already settled. Already someone else's. Do you know how hard that makes this? This was your idea. I know. He pulled me closer. Terrible idea. Best terrible idea I've ever had. I left at 4, needing to beat the kids home. In my car, I caught sight of myself in the rearview mirror. Smeared lipstick, tangled hair, eyes bright with secrets. I looked like a stranger. Felt like one, too. At home, I showered away the evidence, started dinner, helped with homework. When Christopher called from Raleigh, I chatted normally about the kids' day, my fictional migraine, plans for the weekend. The lies flowed like water. That night, I lay in bed, replaying every moment. Daniel's hands, his mouth, the way he said my name like a prayer. I was already planning when I could see him again. The affair consumed me. Tuesday coffees became Thursday lunches, became Friday afternoons at his apartment. I became an expert at deception. Phantom client meetings. Dental appointments that ran long. Traffic jams that existed only in my imagination. Christopher never questioned it. Why would he? I'd given him 13 years of faithfulness. My word was gold standard. The guilt came in waves. Some days I could compartmentalize completely. Stephanie, the wife and mother. Stephanie, the mistress. 2 separate women living in one body. Other days, the weight of betrayal crushed me. I'd watch Christopher teaching Josh to ride his bike or helping Emma with math and want to confess everything. Throw myself on his mercy. Beg forgiveness. But then Daniel would text, "Missing you?" and I'd be lost again. We were careful at work. Professional distance, appropriate boundaries. But Patricia noticed anyway. "You're glowing lately," she said one morning. "New face cream?" "Just getting more sleep." Another lie for the collection. "Must be some sleep. You look 10 years younger." That's what Daniel did to me. Made me feel younger, desirable, alive in a way I'd forgotten was possible. With Christopher, I was Mom. The woman who knew which kid had practice when and who kept the household running. With Daniel, I was Stephanie, just Stephanie, and she was intoxicating. The close calls started 3 months in. Christopher came home early one Friday and I was still at Daniel's. "Where are you?" he asked when I answered my phone breathlessly. Gym, spinning class ran over. I was half-dressed, Daniel watching from the bed. "I thought you hated spinning." "Trying new things. Be home soon." "Pick up milk?" "We're out." Of course. Normal. Mundane. While I stood in my lover's bedroom inventing excuses. Then there was the Saturday Emma got sick at her friend's house. Christopher was at the hardware store. I was supposedly grocery shopping, but actually in Daniel's bed when the call came. "Mrs. Robinson?" "Emma's running a fever. She needs to be picked up. I'll be right there." I threw on clothes, kissed Daniel goodbye, and raced across town. Emma never questioned why I was coming from the opposite direction of our usual grocery store. Kids don't notice what they're not looking for. But Laura noticed. Christopher's coworker, Laura. Sweet Laura who brought homemade cookies to office parties. Observant Laura who saw my car at Daniel's complex one Thursday when she was viewing an apartment for her sister. "I could have sworn I saw your car in South End yesterday," she mentioned casually at a dinner party. Probably just a similar model. I laughed it off while my heart hammered. "Must have been. What would you be doing in South End on a workday?" She smiled, but her eyes were calculating. The rational response would have been to end it. Laura was suspicious. The close calls were multiplying, the guilt was eating me alive. But addiction doesn't respond to logic, and I was addicted to Daniel, to the way he made me feel, to the woman I became in his arms. So I got sloppier, stayed later, took bigger risks, told bigger lies. "Conference in Atlanta," I told Christopher one weekend in May. "Mandatory leadership training." There was no conference. Just 48 hours in Daniel's bed while Christopher single-parented our children. I called home twice a day, listened to their voices, and felt simultaneously homesick and relieved to be away. "This is insane," Daniel said Sunday morning, watching me FaceTime with Emma about her soccer game. "The lying, the sneaking, maybe we should—" "What? End it? Go public? Which terrible option are you suggesting?" "I don't know." He ran his hands through his hair. "I just know I can't keep sharing you. It's killing me." "You knew what this was?" "I thought I did. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you." Love. We'd carefully avoided that word for 6 months. Kept things physical, chemical, but not emotional. Or so we'd pretended. "Don't. Tell me you don't feel it too." I couldn't. Because I did love him, in the selfish, destructive way you love something that's ruining your life but makes you feel alive. It doesn't matter what I feel. It's the only thing that matters. We fought. We made up. We made love like it might be the last time. Because maybe it would be. But it wasn't. I went home, unpacked my fake conference materials, and slipped back into my life. Christopher had handled everything beautifully. The house was clean, the kids were happy. He'd even attempted Emma's complicated soccer mom hair braid. "How was the conference?" he asked, rubbing my shoulders as I pretended to review work emails. "Informative, exhausting. You work too hard. Maybe we should plan a vacation, just the two of us. When's the last time we went away without the kids?" I couldn't remember. Couldn't imagine it either. A week alone with Christopher, pretending to be the wife he thought I was? The prospect terrified me. "Maybe in the fall," I hedged. "I'll start looking at places. Somewhere tropical. You in a bikini." He kissed my neck. I'm a lucky man. That night, he made love to me with unusual passion, like he was trying to remind me, or himself, of what we had. I responded mechanically, hating myself for comparing his familiar touch to Daniel's, for wishing it was Daniel's hands, Daniel's mouth, Daniel's weight pressing me into our marriage bed. Christopher fell asleep happy, arm flung across my waist. I lay awake calculating how many lies I'd told, how many times I'd betrayed this good man who loved me, how many ways I'd destroyed our family for stolen afternoons and secret kisses. My phone lit up with a text. "Daniel, can't stop thinking about this weekend. About you, about us." I deleted it without responding, but we both knew I'd be back in his bed by Thursday. The beginning of the end came in July, a company retreat to Asheville, team-building exercises and trust falls and corporate bonding. Spouses invited for the final night's dinner. I tried to convince Christopher not to come. "It'll be boring. Corporate nonsense. Save yourself." And miss a chance to see my beautiful wife in her element? Not a chance. So there we were, Christopher and me at a table with Daniel and his latest date, a leggy pharmaceutical rep named Brittany who laughed too loud and touched him too much. I smiled and chatted and pretended not to care while jealousy burned acid in my throat. "You okay?" Christopher whispered during the salad course. "You seem tense." "Just work stuff." Under the table, his hand found mine, squeezed reassuringly. "Hey, whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Together, that's what we do." Across the table, Daniel watched us with unreadable eyes. The evening dragged endlessly. Speeches, awards, dancing. Christopher was charming, working the room, making my colleagues laugh. Several people commented on what a great couple we made. How lucky I was. How clearly in love we still were after all these years. "Bathroom," I mumbled, escaping to the hallway. Daniel found me by the elevators. "We need to talk." "Not here." "Then where? You've been avoiding me all week." "Your date seems nice." "Don't." He backed me against the wall. "You don't get to be jealous." "Not when you go home to him every night." "That's different." "How?" "How is it different?" "Because you've been doing it longer." "Because I have children." The words came out louder than intended. A passing waiter gave us a curious look. "Right, the kids. Your convenient excuse for everything." "Excuse? You think my children are an excuse?" "I think you use them to avoid making hard choices, to stay stuck in a life that's killing you slowly. You don't know anything about my life. I know you're miserable. I know you come alive in my bed in a way you never do anywhere else. I know you love me but won't admit it because that would mean actually doing something about it. What do you want from me, Daniel?" "Everything. I want everything. Leave him, be with me. Stop this halfway existence where neither of us gets what we really need. And my kids? I just uproot their lives because mommy's having a midlife crisis? People get divorced. Kids adjust. You're not doing them any favors staying in a marriage that's already dead." "It's not dead." "No. When's the last time you looked at Christopher the way you look at me? When's the last time you couldn't wait to get home to him?" I couldn't answer. Because he was right. Christopher had become furniture. Necessary. Functional. But not someone I saw anymore, not really. "6 months?" Daniel said. "I've waited 6 months for you to choose." "I can't wait anymore. I won't." "Are you giving me an ultimatum?" "I'm giving you the truth. I love you. I want a life with you. A real life. Not stolen hours and deleted texts and lies. But if you can't give me that..." He stepped back. "Then we're done." "Daniel..." "Think about it." "You know where to find me when you decide." He walked away, back to the ballroom, back to Brittany with her long legs and uncomplicated availability. I stood in the hallway, shaking, knowing this was it. Decision time. I returned to find Christopher dancing with Emma from accounting. He spun her, dipped her dramatically, had the whole table laughing. My husband, father of my children, the man I'd promised to love forever. "There you are!" He pulled me onto the dance floor. "Emma was just telling me about the Henderson acquisition. You never mentioned you were leading it. That's huge, babe. I'm so proud of you." Proud. He was proud. While I was fucking my boss in hotel rooms and considering blowing up our life. It's not a big deal. Are you kidding? This is exactly the kind of project that gets you promoted. Maybe we should celebrate. Champagne when we get home? Christopher --. I know. Early morning with the kids, rain check then, but we are celebrating. My wife, the corporate superstar. He spun me, and I caught sight of Daniel over his shoulder, watching us, waiting for my decision. That night in our hotel room, Christopher made love to me tenderly, whispered how beautiful I was, how lucky he felt, how he couldn't imagine life without me. I lay beneath him, tears sliding into my hair, knowing I'd already made my choice. Monday morning, I knocked on Daniel's office door. "Come in." He was on the phone, motioned for me to wait. I sat across from his desk, taking in the familiar space, the awards on his walls, the photo of his nephew, the couch where we'd first kissed after hours 3 months ago. He hung up, looked at me expectantly. "Well?" "I'm staying with Christopher." Something flickered across his face. Disappointment, anger, resignation. "I see." "Daniel." "No, you've made your choice. I respect that. Can we—" "What?" "Stay friends? Keep having coffee? Pretend this never happened?" He laughed bitterly. "I'm not that evolved, Stephanie." "I never meant to hurt you." "Yes, you did." "You knew exactly what this was, what I wanted. You just couldn't let go of the safety net." He stood, moved to the window. "Brittany asked me to go exclusive last night." My stomach dropped. "And?" I said yes. "You don't even know her." "I know she's available. Single. Willing to build something real instead of living on scraps." He turned back to me. "I'm done being someone's secret, Stephanie. If you won't choose me, I'll find someone who will." I left his office on unsteady legs. This was what I'd wanted, wasn't it? A clean break, back to my real life, my family, my marriage. So why did it feel like my world was ending? The next months were agony. Daniel, true to his word, threw himself into the relationship with Brittany. She started appearing at office functions, bringing him lunch, leaving lipstick marks on his coffee mug in the break room. I smiled. I congratulated them when they moved in together after just 2 months. I pretended not to care when Patricia gossiped about their weekend trips and fancy dinners. At home, I tried to recommit to my marriage, date nights, family dinners, sex with enthusiasm I didn't feel. Christopher noticed the change, seemed pleased by my renewed attention. "You've been different lately," he said one night in October. "More present." I like it. Just trying to remember what matters. I love you, you know, even when you're distracted by work, even when you forget to pick up milk, even when you leave your shoes in the middle of the bedroom floor for me to trip over. He grinned. "Especially then, actually." Your flaws make you real. My flaws. If only he knew how deep they ran. Daniel announced his engagement in December. A company-wide email with a photo of Brittany's ring, 2 carats, cushion cut, the kind of ring that said, "I'm serious about this." I made it to the bathroom before I threw up. "You okay?" Patricia found me splashing water on my face. "You've been looking peaked lately." "Just a bug." "Or maybe jealousy?" Her tone was light, but her eyes were knowing. "You and Daniel seemed close for a while there. Must be hard watching him move on so fast." "We were never close. Just coworkers." "If you say so." But I could tell she didn't believe me. How many others had noticed? How close had I come to exposure? I went home that night and found Christopher in the kitchen, helping Emma with a science project about extinct animals. "Mommy, did you know the dodo bird couldn't fly?" "That's why it died. It couldn't escape danger. That's sad, sweetheart. Daddy says sometimes not being able to fly keeps you safe, like penguins. They can't fly, but they're excellent swimmers. Your dad's pretty smart. Christopher winked at me over Emma's head. Hear that, Em? Mom thinks I'm smart. Mark the calendar. Later, after the kids were asleep, we sat on the couch with wine, watching some mindless show. Christopher's arm around me, my head on his shoulder. Comfortable, familiar, safe. Laura mentioned she saw you a lot in Southend this year, he said casually. My blood froze. Oh. Yeah, her sister ended up getting a place there. She said your car was there almost every Thursday for a while. Probably the yoga studio. I was trying that hot yoga place for a while. I thought you did yoga on Tuesdays. I switched it up, trying to find what worked with my schedule. He sipped his wine. Funny thing is, Laura's sister lives right above that new wine bar. Vine and Vintage? She said your car was always in that lot. My heart hammered so loud I was sure he could hear it. Parking is terrible in that area. I parked wherever I could find a spot. Makes sense, but something in his tone suggested it didn't make sense at all. We finished our wine in silence. That night in bed, Christopher pulled me close. Whatever it was, he whispered in the darkness, I forgive you. I stiffened. What do you mean? I'm not stupid, Steph. Thursday afternoons, the weekend conference that didn't exist, the way you've been this year, different, distant, then suddenly back to normal right around the time Daniel got that new girlfriend. Christopher ... I don't want to know details. I don't want to hear excuses or apologies or explanations. I just want to know it's over. Tears burned my eyes. It's over. And it won't happen again? Never, I swear. Okay then. He kissed my forehead. We move forward. We're a family. That matters more than mistakes. How can you just forgive me? Because I love you. Because we have 12 years and 2 kids and a life together. Because I'm not perfect either, and I choose to believe this was temporary insanity that won't be repeated. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you've got me anyway. I sobbed then. Ugly, grateful, guilty tears while Christopher held me and whispered that everything would be okay, that we'd get through this, that marriages survived worse. And I believed him, wanted to believe him, needed to believe that his forgiveness could wash me clean, make me the wife he deserved. For 3 months, I tried. I threw myself into family life, PTA meetings, soccer practices, Sunday dinners with Christopher's parents. I deleted Daniel's number, avoided him at work, pretended Brittany's wedding planning chatter didn't feel like nails on a chalkboard. Then came the night Christopher talked in his sleep. Tell Laura I'm sorry. 4 words, but they changed everything. I lay there, processing. Laura. Who'd seen my car? Who'd told Christopher about Southend? Who'd been so interested in my whereabouts? The next morning I watched Christopher get ready for work. Same routine. Shower, shave, blue tie with the tiny sailboats Emma had given him for Father's Day. Working late tonight? I asked casually. Probably. The Morrison project is kicking our ass. He kissed me goodbye. Don't wait up. But I did wait. Waited until he texted at 6 that he was stuck in meetings. Waited until 7 when he usually called to say goodnight to the kids. The call that didn't come. At 8, I drove to his office. The building was mostly dark. His car wasn't in the lot. I knew before I arrived where he'd be. Laura's apartment complex in Southend. The same complex where she'd seen my car all those Thursdays. The irony was almost poetic. His car was there. 3rd floor, lights on in what must be her apartment. I sat in my car, watching shadows move behind curtains, and laughed. Actually laughed. Because what else was there to do? All those months of my guilt. All that talk of his forgiveness, his nobility. And he'd been fucking Laura the whole time. I drove home, tucked the kids into bed, poured a large glass of wine and waited. He came home at 11, showered, the second shower of the day, washing away evidence just like I used to do. "Hey," he said, finding me in the living room. "Thought you'd be asleep." "Couldn't sleep." Morrison project is brutal. Probably be late all week. He sat beside me, all casual comfort. "Kids go down okay?" "Tell me about Laura." He went still. "What about her?" "How long?" Steph .. "How long?" He sighed, set down his beer. 8 months. 8 months. 2 months before I'd even met Daniel at that first coffee. "So, when you forgave me? When you said we'd move forward?" "I meant it. We can move forward. Both of us. Past all of this." "You self-righteous asshole!" I threw my wine in his face. He sputtered, wiped his eyes. "Okay, I deserved that." "You knew. This whole time you knew about Daniel because you were with Laura, comparing notes, tracking cars, playing detective while you were—" I couldn't finish. "It wasn't like that." "No? Then what was it like?" "Help me understand, Christopher. Like you were so understanding about my mistake." "Laura and it just happened. She was having problems with her ex. I was feeling neglected. You were always working late, distracted when you were home. We started talking, commiserating. One thing led to another." "So you blamed me. Classic." "I'm not blaming anyone." "We both made mistakes. But we can fix this. For the kids." "The kids you were thinking about while you were in her bed?" "Don't. You don't get to play the wronged party here. Not after Daniel. At least I had the decency to feel guilty." "You think I don't feel guilty?" "You think I enjoyed lying to you?" "I think you enjoyed feeling superior." Poor Christopher, forgiving his cheating wife while fucking his coworker. "That's not—" He stopped, started again. "What do you want me to say?" "That I'm sorry? I am. That I was wrong? I was. That I love you anyway? I do." "You love me?" "While you're with her?" "I ended it. Tonight. Told her we needed to focus on our marriages." "How noble." "Stephanie, please." "We can get past this. Counseling, a fresh start. We both screwed up. We both had affairs. Now we both stop and remember what matters." I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man I'd married, had children with, built a life with, cheated on, been cheated on by. No. No? No counseling, no fresh start, no more lies. We're done, Christopher. You know it. I know it. Let's stop pretending otherwise. Something shifted in his face. Relief, maybe, or recognition. "What about the kids?" "We'll figure it out. Joint custody, civil co-parenting, all the things divorced people do." "Is that what we are now? Divorced people?" "That's what we've been for a while. We just hadn't filed the paperwork." He nodded slowly. "Daniel?" "Over, really over, you?" "Laura wants more, a real relationship, but I can't, not right away." "The kids need time to adjust." "Yeah." We sat there, two people who'd destroyed their marriage from both ends, trying to figure out what came next. "For what it's worth," Christopher said finally, "I did love you. Do love you. Just not enough to stay faithful." "Neither of us stayed faithful." "No, neither of us did." He slept in the guest room that night. The next morning we told the kids Daddy would be staying at a hotel for a while. Mommy and Daddy needed some space. We still loved them. This wasn't their fault. All the hollow phrases divorced parents say. Emma cried. Josh went silent. Both reactions broke my heart. Christopher moved out that weekend. We filed for divorce the following month. Uncontested, equitable, civilized. Daniel left the company shortly after his wedding. Took a job in Chicago, Brittany's hometown. I heard through the grapevine they were expecting. Laura transferred to Christopher's Raleigh office. A fresh start for everyone. I stayed, kept my job, kept the house, kept the illusion of stability for the kids. But everything had changed. Tuesday coffees became solitary affairs. I sat in the same corner booth where Daniel and I had started this whole mess, wondering how different things might have been if I'd said no to that first invitation, if I'd chosen my marriage over possibility, if Christopher had done the same with Laura, but we hadn't. We'd both wanted more than what we had, reached for something else, someone else, and in reaching, lost everything we'd built. The kids adjusted, as kids do, every other weekend with Dad, Wednesday dinners, awkward exchanges at school events where Christopher and I tried to prove we were still friends, still a team, still okay. We weren't okay. Maybe we never had been. Maybe that's what led us both to other people's beds in the first place. The slow realization that love wasn't enough if you stopped seeing the person you claimed to love. I'm 42 now, 3 years divorced. I've tried dating, but trust is hard when you know how easy betrayal comes. How easy it is to lie to someone who still believes you. How quickly solid ground becomes quicksand. Sometimes I drive past Daniel's old apartment. Think about those stolen afternoons, the woman I became in his arms, the marriage I destroyed for the feeling of being chosen. Sometimes I see Christopher dropping the kids off, looking tired but lighter somehow. Like the weight of our failed marriage had been crushing him too, and divorce set him free. Sometimes I wonder if Emma and Josh will repeat our mistakes. If they'll promise forever to someone, then forget what forever means the first time someone new makes their pulse race. I hope not. I hope they're smarter, better, more honest with themselves and the people they claim to love. But hope is fragile, like marriage vows, like trust, like the belief that love conquers all. It doesn't. Sometimes love just isn't enough. Sometimes two people can love each other and still destroy everything they've built with their own hands. Sometimes the coworker is more than a friend, and once that line is crossed, there's no going back, only forward, into whatever comes next, alone.